We're just two kids that love each other and we really love dance.
We got a few more gigs. We started gaining a lot of following very quickly. It's made a lot of friends, but it's also unfortunately made a lot of enemies. I'll tell you, it's been one of the best things you could ever do is actually bet on yourself. There's nothing more liberating than that.
Well, welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with Chris and Sarah. I'm so excited to chat with you guys and learn a little bit more about your business for the viewers. Like I was saying before we recorded, I love talking about, just the stuff you wish you knew when you started that you know now. But before we get into that, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you guys do?
Howdy, my name is Chris.
I'm Sarah.
And we are Red Dirt Dancing. So we're from New Braunfels, Texas, and we travel all across the United States teaching people how to dance. We do that through a lot of online instructionals and through in person-to-person in classes. So how Red Dirt got started was actually through me. I originally started Red Dirt Dancing as a way to help save dance halls because I heard that they were dying out here in Texas. And whenever I started, I just tried to review dance halls, and lo and behold, turned into watching my dancing journey into a teaching platform whenever I met Sarah.
Nice.
Yep. And so my journey was a little bit different. I got started a little bit later in life with dancing. So it wasn't until about 2020 that I met Chris. So he had started Red Dirt Dancing in 2018. And I didn't show up to the scene until about 2020. But since then, it's been a teaching platform.
Now, did I see that you guys originally started as like a Facebook page before it was an actual business?
Yep, that's right. It started out as just a Facebook page because it was just reviewing stuff. It wasn't meant to be anything business oriented, but as any business owner will tell you, business will always adapt. So that's kind of the way the whole thing just got started. And so whenever we started really picking up steam through social media, through a lot of social media, actually, we figured we should probably make this legitimate. And that's when Sarah actually started diving into how to make LLCs, where's the best place to go, and how do we do this?
So kind of walk me through that process. So you were a Facebook page. Like, at what point did you decide this is actually a business, not just like a Facebook following?
So it started off as just a page having fun,
Yeah.
and then it started to slowly turn into the business whenever Sarah and I started teaching together. So originally I started teaching because a buddy was like, "Hey, I just need somebody to help me on a Saturday. I'll give you $100 and come drink with me." And I'm like, "Hot dang, I'm in. Let's do this." So whenever I met Sarah, we got a few more gigs, and we started posting about our lessons and that we were having at the dance halls, and we started gaining a lot of following very quickly. And one of the things that Sarah said to me whenever I asked her to be a part of Red Dirt Dancing, she was like, "You know what? If we're going to do this, we're going to do this right, and we're going to make sure that we really put our best foot forward." And so it's really started to turn into a business whenever actually Sarah stepped into the picture.
Sarah, so when you stepped into the picture, what were some of the things you noticed needed to be adjusted for it to be a business and not just a Facebook page?
That's such a great question. So as Chris had said, it started out primarily with reviewing dance halls.
Mm-hmm.
So it started with the Facebook page. So cleaning it up from a social media perspective and adding more to our social media umbrella, right? So adding on Instagram, adding on TikTok, that was an interesting addition to our social media platforms, because originally I was very much against putting TikTok on the list. But that was actually one of the things that got us to be so popular. But it started with removing a lot of the memes. That's really where it began. It was a lot of, so Chris would make a lot of dancing memes.
Yeah, I'd make a lot of dancing memes, kind of make it fun. But from a business standpoint, it was just like, hey, we just made this $100. Let's just, put it in a pocket. We just got steak money. Let's just go have fun after that.
Yeah, we called it steak money.
And so then after that, we really started when we really started picking up business when we really started picking up a lot of lessons, and we really started traveling a lot more. We knew that we really needed a structure. We knew that we really needed to make it an LLC because it was no longer just this little fun side gig that we made a little bit of money off of. It was getting to a point where it was replacing both of our incomes. Because before we started doing Red Dirt full time, I was a VP of sales and marketing, and she was an environmental consultant.
Yeah.
That's
So
those are different careers.
Different careers. But yeah, so it was when we were becoming more busy and there was more popularity and more people were requesting that Chris and I come teach or teach them in particular. So as our private lessons started to take off, that's when I knew that we needed to play in the big leagues, a little bit more in the big leagues.
Yep, and it was actually pretty funny. Whenever so we both lost our jobs actually within 15 days of each other. I had my CEO. I helped them grow from a $300,000 company to a $30 million company.
Wow.
And then he got to a point where he was like, "I don't want to pay your commissions anymore. I'll see you later."
Wow.
And then
my job just didn't have enough work for me to do. I had just transitioned from one department to another, and the work for me just wasn't there. And so they let me go.
Literally right after that happened, we were on a flight about to head out to
Florida.
Yeah. And as we were sitting down there in the airport, I looked at her and I was like, "Let's burn the boats."
We said, "Burn the boats."
And so we instantly opened up all of our private lesson slots. And I'll tell you, it's been one of the best things you could ever do is actually bet on yourself, because I know that every day that we wake up, it's up to us to be able to make our food, make our rent. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more liberating than that.
It really is. I have a similar experience with the company I was at before I went off and am self-employed now, that they got bought out by a big corporation. All right. And so everyone gets laid off and you got to apply to like keep your job. And I just didn't want to go through that. So it's somewhat of same, but not the same, but I know where you're coming from. And it is a great experience, like knowing that like your mortgage or your rent or your food, like you worked hard to get that. It does bring a whole nother level to it. Did any of your past experience at your jobs did that kind of transfer over to running your own business? Did you bring any of that skill set? What do you think helped you along the way?
So whenever I started out with that other company, I had always worked for small to medium-sized companies. I had only worked for 2 large companies. And so originally I double majored in engineering. So I have a mechanical and manufacturing engineering degree. Found out that I was really good in sales. And then I kind of went my route from there. And as I continued to grow from that, I got really good at sales and marketing. And that's when this company hired me to do their sales and marketing. And I watched them and I helped them grow. So, because there's a lot of growth that has to happen between a $300,000 a year company to a $30 million a year company.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of intricacies about how to be able to not only just make a business run, your sales funnels, how to be able to do your marketing, and how to be able to really approach the world really with your product or your service. So it really helped me out. But I'm 100% a big picture guy. I can give you some details. That is not my strongest suit. And so whenever Sarah came in that picture, it really helped me out a lot.
Yeah. So at my previous job, I primarily did project management. And so I came with putting the ability to put proposals together, technical writing, detail-oriented personality, management, reading the fine print. So I serve in Red Dirt Dancing as HR and legal and finance, where Chris is more sales, marketing, and things like that. So where he's my big picture guy, I am the detail oriented one, where I figure out the path to get to his big ideas.
That was going to be my next question, is like, how do you guys complement each other? Like your strengths and weaknesses, and just dividing the tasks of running a business.
It's a lot of like a CEO, COO kind of mindset and kind of mind frame.
Yes.
And a lot of it does come down to communication, because we also know that being husband and wife, splitting everything every single day can get very taxing on each other. And so having that kind of open lines of communication, those clear cut boundaries that we have, it really does help us out a lot. But still factoring in that the other person has another idea or something of that nature. So I may have this master plan of this marketing spin that we're about to do. And she'll say, well, what about this, this, and this? And so it kind of makes me hold on just for a second and kind of rethink what I'm doing. And it really does help out quite a lot. And then vice versa with her. I know that oftentimes she'll get lost in the details. I'm like, well, what's the whole point of this? And so we kind of help balance each other quite a lot in that whole aspect because of it.
Yeah, a system of checks and balances, I think, is very important. And like Chris said, it's very CEO, COO mindset. But overall communication is key.
Nice.
Yep.
That is. How do you keep the work-life balance? Is there a work-life balance?
Sure.
Yeah.
I know, as running my own business, it's a tough balance, right? It's always there.
All the time we tell each other, all right, Mondays and Tuesdays are our days
Maybe
off.
off.
And what happens? We're always doing something towards the business
We're
every
on a
single
podcast
day.
on Monday.
Yeah.
It's just kind of what happens. It kind of turns into a whole thing where it's just like this light switch. It's like, great, work mode. Then you're in work mode for like the 3-4 hours or so. And then you go off and like cook steaks and go frolic through bluebonnets or whatever,
Yeah.
like.
So that, I guess, would be something that I wish I knew at the very beginning of all of this, because Chris had time working for some small companies before, and so he had that experience. I have known nothing but big companies in corporate America, so this was quite a different lifestyle, if you will, making this switch for me. And where in my corporate America 9 to 5, you work Monday through Friday. When you're done at 5 o'clock, you are done, and your weekends are yours.
Yeah.
And that is not as much of the case. Although I will say there's obviously positives where you get to work for yourself. There's the freedoms and all of that. It's just a very big mindset change, is that I wish somebody had told me, you will never really have a day off.
Sounds like you need to complain to your HR rep.
I'll put in a request.
It's a time off request. What kind of systems did you guys have to put in place, or did you need to put in place to run it as more of a successful business than a Facebook page?
Ooh.
Systems. I'll start with broads, and that is financial systems.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the first one I can think of. And we've got a great checks and balances kind of system that we use. We actually don't even really use a financial software.
So yeah.
Chris is actually an Excel whiz. And you can talk about your Excel sheets, because he loves talking about his Excel sheets.
Oh man, me too. Oh man, I have spreadsheets on spreadsheets that track everything, and I absolutely love it.
So we went to our CPA, and she pretty much looked at Chris's Excel sheets and said, "You're just as good as TurboTax. You're just as good as QuickBooks and some of these others." So, but yeah, it's great. So we definitely had to have a financial system for sure. And we currently have one that I personally really enjoy and like. We tweak things all the time though. So
yep, we so a lot of time. So I've tracked things through Excel sheets ever since I was doing engineering. So getting good at Excel was kind of like a second nature.
Yeah.
And I actually used to do programming, like competitive programming back in the day. So learning how to be able to set up those systems wasn't super hard. But some of the systems I knew that I had to put in place was, first off, a financial system, because if we're not tracking financially, then the business is doomed to fail. But then the other thing I started tracking too was actually how our sales and marketing were doing, because the product or the service is actually Sarah and I, and the knowledge that we have. So that means we have to start tracking the people, the reach that we have, and marketing is very, very essential to what we do. So I have information from back from 2020 on how many people that we had following us, up to how many people were in each and every class, how many people were in by certain time frames. So that way, while we're tracking, we can also say, great, we taught this, and this these days. We saw how it continued to grow. Let's continue to stay on that path. And because we're able to watch trends now on how we can continue to grow. And that has been absolutely vital to what we do. And what I've learned from my VP background into now, which again, I wish I would have like known this ahead of time. Otherwise, I would have started tracking a lot earlier. Was that it's find the essential thing in your business and start tracking it. So if you know for a fact that people coming into a classroom with you is absolutely essential to you surviving as a business, start tracking that and start tracking what you did during that time. So that way you can see your trends going up and going down. So you can see how you can continue to improve upon yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more how important tracking and getting detailed tracking has been for my business too. So I do a lot of real estate photography. And so when I first started out, you kind of fly by the seat of your pants, right? You're not tracking everything and you're like, okay, cool. We got a sale. We got an order. We got a lesson, and great. But now tracking like what is being done at every job and breaking it down. So I know, especially for me, like equipment wise, like, okay, this was a video job. This was a photo job. This required a drone. And so, X amount goes into that column. So, how much at least for me, how much your equipment is making. So, where to reinvest, the profitability of the company. Like, okay, well, drones make us a lot of money. So let's continue to invest in drone equipment or photography equipment. For sales and marketing and your reach, what has been, I'm sure you're tracking your reach. What has helped you increase your reach? Like, where is that reach coming from? Or is it divided through like a lot of channels?
Ooh, that's actually a really good layered question.
Because that's got to be the most important thing for you guys, right? To increase the business. I mean, I'm all about always doing sales and marketing and getting, as much as I love my current clients, I love continuing to get more clients because that's how you grow your business. So, just where's that reach coming from, or the different funnels?
Yep. So kind of what you said is whenever you start tracking the details, you can also start finding small little variants where like you just tried something and you had a little bit of pop at that one specific point. So that's at least one way you can track. But I know one of the best things is just keeping it simple. If you do one thing, do that one thing really well, and be known for that. And then you can have the other services, but be known for that one thing. What really ended up helping us out was actually the videos that we started to put out. So what we saw in the industry that we had was there's a lot of industry secrets that people didn't want to let get out. And truthfully, the way we saw it and the way that we boiled down was that everybody can know this information. All they have to do is just look hard enough. We just made it more simple for people to find. So that way they can see us as the experts and continue to approach us to be able to come learn the other smaller intricacies. Because for us, there's like these tricks, and all the people love the tricks, but there's a lot of technique that goes behind those tricks. And that's kind of where they really come to us to be able to start learning how to be able to really incorporate that in their dance. And it really has helped us out. And it's made a lot of friends, but it's also unfortunately made a lot of enemies at the same time. But that's business.
Yeah. Was it all kind of just gradual as the business started to grow, or was there something you tried that was kind of like game changing for you guys?
TikTok.
Actually,
TikTok is a big piece. We had Facebook, we had Instagram, and we had a YouTube, but it wasn't until we were convinced to just go ahead and make TikTok. Our very first video was just how to two-step.
Went viral.
Went right out of the gate, got 1 million views.
Wow.
And a lot of it was because it made people feel a certain way. Because some people were like, well, that's not how you two-step. And other people were finding that it was the way that you two-stepped. And so what we learned at that point in time was whether it's good controversy or bad controversy, it all depends on how you choose to approach that whole situation. is how you end up growing your following and how you end up growing your own business. Because oftentimes we'll have a video where Sarah's dancing with somebody else, and they do this really suave move, and people just look at Sarah and they're like, why is she dancing like that? That kind of thing. And has an amazing dance with this guy. And we chose to take it from a positive aspect when some people can take it as a negative aspect. And so it all depends on your mindset, your mind, and how you approach each situation.
I always TikTok is an interesting platform. Have you found that it goes too broad, or was it just what you guys needed? Because sometimes it's hard to narrow down the focus on. Are you guys nationally or just located? You just serve like the Texas area where you guys are at?
So we serve nationally. So we
internationally.
Oh wow!
International reach.
We're known international, but we currently serve just nationally.
Okay.
And if it takes us internationally, I will not say no.
So cool. That's on our list.
Yeah, we actually.
Oh my gosh.
We were actually teaching in Temecula, California, 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And we had a couple from Brazil that flew in just to come learn from us.
Wow.
It's amazing. We've had people from Spain. We've had people from Europe. Like, it's been really cool.
It's been really cool.
One day we're going to travel internationally for dance.
And a lot of it comes down to the knowledge that we impart amongst our social media platforms. And TikTok is very broad. And honestly, you're able to actually experiment more with your sales and marketing that way, as opposed to like your Facebook, your Instagram. You have to be a little bit more focused with those.
Yeah.
TikTok allows you to be able to experiment a whole lot more. But it's kind of one of those, like, you can experiment a little bit, but don't experiment too much, because then the algorithm doesn't know where to be able to set you.
I got to ask then, do you let the algorithm kind of like drive what you're putting out there, or do you try to put out what you want to put out?
That's a good question.
We really put out what we want to put out.
Okay.
A lot of times what we'll do is, and I'll say this for any business that I ever do consultations for, is that no matter what, it's still the brand that you choose to put out. Yeah. And so if you teach dance lessons, then show that you teach dance lessons. Don't go way far out and say, I also do apple picking. Like, you want to
niching down is so important. Definitely.
we in essence put out what we want, but I would lie to you if I said that we don't at least consider the algorithm and the things that are going to, the dancing for us is what people opened the door with. And Chris is right. If you all of a sudden go apple picking, then you confuse your audience and you're like, well, I wasn't really here for apple picking. I was here for dancing. And, so it's important. But at the end of the day, we really do.
Small variations is what's key, because it's, for us, we're a couple. So we post like some coupley stuff from time to time, which is totally fine. So we really do try to keep it as focused as possible, because it's part of that keeping it simple. Because at the end of the day, we're just a couple that really likes to go out and dance and teach people how to dance, and we just like to enjoy life. And so that's kind of what we focus everything after, rather than just doing dance all the time, because it can get monotonous for some of your viewers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Niching down is in any business so important. You can just hone your skill set so much better and offer a better product. When you first started out, were there some, growing pains where you had to refocus and adjust your focus and niche down, or did you already have that focus and knew exactly where you wanted to take this?
I can answer that, but I want you to answer this one.
Yeah. Did you come in 2020 and be like, what are you doing? You need to clean this up. This is a disaster.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
A lot of it was, she was like, oh, well, if I'm going to do this, it's not going to be just a you show. It's going to be an us show. And so we're going to do this right. And that's kind of where it came in.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that makes me sound so like fire and brimstone. Okay. So
HR, man, just complain to HR.
HR. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because in my eyes, when we started Red Dirt Dancing, it was just us doing what we love to do. And I've really tried to keep that mindset continuous for me, even as we have gained popularity and stuff. Um, is that we're just, as we've said before, we're just two kids that love each other and we really love dance. And we post videos with content with things that we just like to do. And at the end of the day, I think that we have always known what we wanted to do. And I mean, when I say we were laser focused at the very beginning, no, but I can't sit there and say that we are just wildly different from where we were when we first started, as far as like we do dance, we teach lessons, we reach out to people, we help communities, we help people grow, not only personally but within dance. And I think as time has gone on, we have just become even better at doing it. So it wasn't so much like we started here and then ended up here. I think we started the same place, but we've just gotten really good at doing.
Yep. We just continue to follow the passion, mainly
Right.
because this was this is what we were passionate about. We really liked doing it. I think if we had any kind of major refocus, it was whenever we really started to make this thing a full-time gig. That was where the really big refocus came in, because it was no, like I said earlier, it was not a, hey, it's just a little fun side gig where we're making a little extra cash.
Right.
It's now like, hey, this is us now. Let's make this happen.
The stakes were a little bit higher. So yeah, I think that may be the one time that we had a mindset shift. Not so much what we did within the business as much as it was, this is our full-time gig now, and it is vitally important that we have those systems, we track, and we treat this like,
and we continue to grow and learn ourselves. So that was part of it. And I think the other piece of that too about us refocusing is also trying to make sure that the passion is still there for what we do. Because once you do something that you love for work, it now starts to become work rather than your passion. So
you start playing with some lines there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can tell just by talking to the two of you. So you offer dance lessons, but to me, like what you do, you're the brand, right? Like people come for you guys is what just from the short while we've been talking, I can tell. And the authenticity of just, being nice human beings is just there. And like, how has that played into your business? Just being authentic and true to what your passion is. Does that I gotta believe that just brings in a lot of customers because they want to work with you, right?
It's absolutely everything. That's one thing that I would tell a lot of my salespeople is that they don't buy the product because they like the product. They buy the product because they like you. And for us, oftentimes we're never worried about anybody going. If we have a very loyal student and they decide to go take lessons from somebody else, great. We genuinely want them to, because the more that you learn, the better. But we also know that for us, people come to our lessons because of us. People come to our workshops because of us. Because the knowledge they can probably get somewhere else and go find it on YouTube or something like that. But they come to everything because of who we are, and kind of like you said, the authenticity and just being genuine, nice people.
Yeah.
It's amazing how far in life you get when you are genuine, authentically you, and you're just nice.
Yeah. And from a business aspect, like, I mean, that just makes people want to do business with you. Like you said, people do business with people, not necessarily the product, but they do business because they like you. Well, guys, I've enjoyed this chat. I feel like I've learned a lot from you guys. I've never met anybody where they're, well, I guess I have, but it just seems like a different path. You started off as just a Facebook page and it turned into this great successful business that you have this international reach and you're teaching all over the country. Just congratulations. It's absolutely amazing, guys.
Thank you.
This has been an amazing ride.
We are very blessed to be where we are right now.
So the last question I always love asking people is, if you had to go back, what would you do differently? Or would you do anything differently?
So, man, that's actually a question I asked myself recently. So this is great. For me, I don't think I would do anything differently. Actually, I think that each bump in the road actually allows you to be able to learn. rather than doing if I could have done this, I should have done that. I actually really do enjoy the journey of how we continue to get here. So I don't think I would change a single thing personally.
That's great.
I would have to agree. I don't I don't think I would change anything. Every mistake grew me, grew us. Like Chris said, every bump in the road, every success was even greater. Um, were there things that were hard and challenging? Of course. Um, but it has made us not only who we are, but the business that we have become. And I wouldn't change even our experiences with previous jobs and all that. Like, I wouldn't change any of it, because it's molded us into the people that we are, and it has molded us into the business that we have. And I'm grateful for it every day. So I wouldn't change any of it.
Yep. And up to it and including betting on yourself. I wish I would have done it earlier, but I'm glad it happened when it did, because that was kind of like that one last push that I really just needed.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's so important. And I couldn't agree more. Always bet on yourself as early as possible. Right. That's great advice. Well, if people want to learn more about what you guys do in Red Dirt Dancing, where can they go?
So we are on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Actually, funny enough, because we do dancing, we've got an awesome Spotify playlist where we have cultivated all these different little playlists for different styles of footwork and stuff. So, and then Chris has actually also put together a really awesome playlist on our Spotify that's called Texas Dance Hall. And it is since you started dancing, which was when?
2008 is when I started dancing.
He's cultivated this playlist of all of the songs that he has ever heard in a dance hall ever. And so it's just really cool. It's got a lot of country and stuff like that. So we're on all the social media platforms.
You can find us at Red Dirt Dancing. You can also go visit our website, reddirtdancing.com. That'll also show all of our upcoming events, shows, workshops. And then, as always, we are always happy to do any kind of collaborations online. And if they're really wanting to really dive deep into some of our really heavy teaching, they can also check out our Instagram subscription for only $5 for the month.
Oh, cool.
And if they're local, they can always come and attend a lesson. We teach all over Central Texas.
And then if y'all want us to come out there for whatever reason, we're currently planning stuff on the East Coast right now. Another thing on the West Coast, just send us a message and just shoot us an email. And that's all at reddirtdancing.com.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys coming on the show, and it was really great talking with you.